If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausage, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Big Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Big Graphic Printing.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make changes now to avoid a negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances have the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks, I'm telling you, they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJU's Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranties. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances. C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Summer Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
you with it? Yeah, we with it. Let's go, let's go, let's get it, let's get it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you with it? Yeah, we with it. Big time players make big time plays. 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 Go hard, 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 go hard. Cause big time players make big time plays. Big time players make big time plays. Gotta get it in a big time way. Let's get it on the grind, head on the line. Gotta stay focused, gotta keep a sound mind. Let's go harder. And go strong, don't back down or give in. When it's tough, that's when we press on. Gotta dig deep, gotta dig in. Hunger for the victory, hunger for the win. Ready to make a play, let's get it in. Swag on point, yeah, swag on 10. It's go time, it's show time, it's my time in my town. Big time players make big time plays, but believe it's about to go down. Big time players make big time plays. Big players make big time plays. Big time players make big time plays. Big time players make big time plays. Go hard.
Yeah, another day. TalkBack Live Sports is live and in full effect. I'm in the TalkBack Live Network studios, and I welcome y'all to the show, man, on another day in sports, man. Thank you for joining me right here on TalkBack Live Network. I am your host, Joshua Midget, as always. And man, oh man, another great show we got lined up for you on today. It is a Tuesday, October 29th edition of the show. And I definitely appreciate y'all for checking me out wherever you may be, however you may be listening, man. Another great edition for you today. So, a lot of stuff to get to. I'm going to dive right on into it. As you know, 5 is my man Dominic Lawson, TalkBack Live Network contributor, host of the Startup Life Business Podcast, so y'all be sure to check that out. But he's going to be joining me today, 2:35, to talk the business of sports, and there's a lot of stuff to get into on that. Breaking news, if you haven't heard about it, well, you're going to have to hold on a little bit longer, but it's something that we've been covering ever since the segment started. Some huge news involving that coming up at 2:35. We're going to talk this afternoon. But as of right now, if you want to, you absolutely can this afternoon. 901-213-6020 in the little time I have here. But I definitely want to get into some of those things before that happens that I have for you guys on today. And be sure you follow all our social medias. Y'all know what to do in that department as well. Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. Hit us up. All of it, TalkBack Live. One word, TalkBack Live. So, right now, man, let's get on into it. And last night, as most of you know, the Memphis Tigers finished the preseason schedule at FedEx Forum against the Lamoille Magicians. As you know, it's a yearly thing. You know, the Tigers take on Christian Brothers and Lamoille at FedEx Forum to kind of get a warm up for what the season is going to be like, so to speak. If you want to take it for that, I guess you could say, but just to kind of get their legs under them. Now, after these two games, which are done, and the Tigers did win, as you see there, 88-63 in that grand fashion. But wasn't as grand as you may think. Now, as y'all know, our TalkBack Live Network reporter, Leon Taylor, was there and broadcasted the game live via Facebook. And you also saw that on our Facebook page, TalkBack Live, with Bob and Josh. It was streaming live on there last night. And what's been interesting about these preseason games is that, and this is what the purpose of them are, so don't get it twisted. The purpose of the preseason is to find out where you're lacking and to find out, okay, what needs to be improved upon heading into the season. And also the things that they've been working on leading up to the season, have they worked? And what else do we need to do? So Penny Hardaway, in the press conference after the Lamoille game, was not pleased. You could tell. I mean, he was glad they won the game, of course, but that's not even the main objective with preseason. That's almost a given, especially with the talent that's on this roster. But what Penny was looking for were certain things that he knows they need to improve upon. And, hoping to see, okay, will we do that heading into this game? Because Penny talked about, the turnovers from the guards. It's got to get better. And even this right here, in the 2 exhibition games combined, Memphis committed over 30 turnovers. That's including 19 turnovers against Lamoille and Owen. Lance Thomas had 5 last night. DJ Jeffries and Alex Lomax both had 4 turnovers apiece. And that translated to 18 points for Lamoille and Owen. So here's what Coach Hardaway said in the quote: "I challenged the guards before the game to take care of the basketball and make winning plays on both ends of the floor, and then everybody box out for rebounding. And it was just too many times that I saw myself that got out." So that's what Penny had to say about that. So now, that was the final exhibition game. The Tigers welcome South Carolina State to FedEx Forum 7 p.m. next Tuesday, November the 5th, to open the regular season. Quote from Penny, he said, "It's about to get real now. If we don't listen and carry over, then it's going to hurt us in the long run." So, Penny's kind of sending a message early to his team. Hey, look, we're talented, but I need y'all to work on some things before, we really get popping, so to speak, in this regular season. How do y'all feel? Are you a little worried hearing concerns that Penny has heading into this season, especially with as much hype is coming into this season? Even myself, and I've said it on the record, and I'm going to stick to it, I expect a extended run out of this team. And I don't think it's anything wrong with expecting that. Now, of course, you give any team room to grow. But when you have this team has, I'm expecting a run in the tournament. And this is not the trap Penny or anything. I know, even myself, you talk about, people trying to trap Penny with these expectations. It's not a trap. Penny knew heading into this season, and I credit him for it. Expectations. We want all the smoke. When you say you want all the smoke, that means you want it. That means you're confident in your guys and in your own ability to coach and to lead men into the season. So don't say when you expect the best out of a team that has the best that you're setting a trap for them. That's not what this is. This is being real. That's what Memphis is. We keep it real. That's what TalkBack Live is. We keep it real, and that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say fire Penny Hardaway if it doesn't go that way. I think that would be ridiculous. But at the same time, reasonable expectations are that can run in the NCAA tournament. Now, I'm not saying Final Four national championship, but I am saying at least a Sweet 16. That's what I am saying. And I don't think that's too unreasonable. Now, we all know how, when it gets to that time of the season, we'll see what happens at that point. But now, things. James Wiseman didn't play in any of these preseason games early on. That's what you see right there in the picture where it says 7 days, or exactly 7 days until the Tigers take on South Carolina State at FedEx Forum for the first regular season game. And it's a lot of concerns. I've even seen a couple comments already. One what Greg's kind of put, is there another issue possibly with Wiseman? I don't know. Everything I've heard, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I even saw video courtesy of Leon last night where Wiseman was warming up with the team. He didn't play, didn't dress out, but he had the sweatpants on, and they were running plays, and he looked good. He was running full speed, catching, jumping. I don't anticipate there to be anything unless, they're hiding something. And, sometimes that happens with teams. But
Penny Hardaway said he expects him to be ready to go. He wasn't going to play Wiseman in these pointless preseason games. And I don't blame them. Because you got to take this into account. Wiseman, as I've said many times, the projected number 1 pick in next year's draft. The most valuable on your team. Why would you put him out there at any risk in a preseason Christian Brothers and Lamoan Owen? When you're talking about, games that don't matter, and the risk of injury and scouting. So if anybody's been scouting the Tigers in these preseason games, you see certain things, but you really don't know what this team's going to look like. Full strength with James Wiseman. Even Malcolm Dandridge, was going to, hopefully is going to come back later in the season. That's going to be a mention that we don't know. Now, also, last night, in case you guys did not watch or hear about, Damian Ball did not play either. Now, he's the one that many feel is going to be the projected starting point guard heading into this season. But he was in the concussion protocol after last week colliding with a Christian and was not made available because of that. Now, Wiseman went through return to play protocol before Monday's game, spending about an hour on the floor, taking part in a number of drills as well. And that's what I was talking about, watching him go through different plays, different sets, and all that stuff. And he looked fine. So I do think, well, I'm asking anything. Do you guys think there's reason for concern? Looking at the Tigers' first 2 preseason games, they've kind of had to struggle. Christian Brothers struggled in the first half. Second half, they blew them out of the water, largely and due to Precious Achiuwa taking the game over. And DJ Jeffries, who had a great first game. And last night, Lamoan Owen, the Memphis Tigers did the opposite. They started out 14-0. Memphis started out 14-0. And then Lamoan Owen goes on a run, and you're kind of in a dogfight until late in the second half where the Tigers pull away and end up winning 88-63. Are you concerned heading into the season with the huge talent discrepancy between Memphis and Lamoan Owen? And there's no knock on them, but let's just keep it real here. You got the number 1 recruiting class in the country at the Division I NCAA level, and you're kind of having, some struggles here. Is that anything to be concerned about? Greg said rebounding worked. Are a bit eye-opening, I must admit. Also, he says, is there another issue possibly with Wiseman? I don't know, but I don't think so. That's just Frankie says, I have to admit, I was concerned last night. They appeared not to be taking the game serious to me. And that's always one of those things, Frankie, that you have to kind of wonder about, especially when you're playing teams that you know you're better than. You kind of take them for granted. You see it at every level. You see it at the pro level, at the high school level, at the middle school level, and definitely in the college level. I don't know why that always happens, because it never fails that you get punched in the mouth and then you either respond or you don't. Sometimes, depending on who you're playing, it's too late to respond, even if you do start to play your best. So once the regular season hits, we definitely ain't got time for that to go on. So we shall see what happens. But what do you think, man? Anything to be concerned about? Looking here, Greg Bernard, that is, says, true, Penny had his career to end on an injury, so he realizes that coming back too early could be dangerous. We've done well with missing pieces, with pieces missing. How do you think they will do after we get everyone in playing shape? It will be bananas. I anticipated Greg Bernard to be bananas in a very good way, because there's too much talent for it not to be. But you know how it is, man. When it's your team, at home, and you see signs for concern, if you want to call it that, then, fans are going to find anything to kind of worry about. So I do understand that, and I get it. You know, even stuff I caught myself in thinking about those things a little bit. But, you know, it's clearly enough for Penny Hardaway to acknowledge in the press conference. But as a coach, you got to find the weaknesses, no matter how big the win may have been. You need to point out what you need to improve. That all of that has to be taken into consideration. I got just a few minutes here that you may, if you want to get a phone call in, you can squeeze it in before my guest comes on. 901-213-620. How you feeling about the Tigers after the preseason? 2 quick games with some local competition at the college, at the D1 level. And y'all let me know what you think after all of that has taken place. Also, I want to mention here in the next few minutes, and once again, you can still talk Tigers if you want. That can be done. But this is really related to the Tigers, so it's not really out of subject. Duke, University of Duke, and I'm bringing them up for this reason. Duke had a preseason where they played some team I had never heard of, which is generally what everybody does. And they won by 2. 68-66. And, you know, the name of the school almost looked like a community college. So that had some people worried. And we all know how talented Duke is coming in every season. But I think that kind of, hopefully, will provide some perspective. A lot of people up there, you know, were concerned looking at that. But is that just, once again, one of those things where a more talented, supremely talented team takes a team lightly, and that you really can't count that once the real season starts? Once again, it's just one of those things where we will have to wait and see. But what I do want to talk about here, definitely this time moving on to another topic, is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, we all know what happened the other night with the exciting game winner by Jay Crowder, John Morant's 30 points, 9 assists, essentially his NBA coming out party, where the entire world was talking about John Morant and what he could potentially be tonight. And tonight is definitely, by far, the Memphis Grizzlies' toughest test, and that is a team Frank is very familiar with, the Los Angeles Lakers. Play the Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, I'm talking about LeBron James. I'm talking about Anthony Davis and the rest of those boys taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. How do we feel about that? Now, let's be real. As I said, this is not a team that's going to win a lot of games, the Memphis Grizzlies team. And this is a team I expect to lose. I expect the Grizzlies to lose. I wouldn't blame you if you feel like the Grizzlies are going to get beat down by the Lakers and demolished, destroyed, dismantled, diabolically obliterated, whatever big words you want to use as an expression for destruction. I understand that. But here's the thing you must look at. Once again, it's amazing, all this unintentionally along the same lines. When you have a juggernaut facing a team that is considered to be well below them in stature, let's look at the Memphis Tigers and Duke, for examples. They look down on said opponents. Could this be the case again at the pro level? Now, one thing about it, the Grizzlies, they're young, and it's one of those things where, and this is why I like, you know, I kind of enjoy to some degree the rebuilding process. A lot of times those young, scrappy teams, they get up real high. They get up real high for those marquee matchups. And you better believe Ja and Jonas Valanciunas and Jaren Jackson, you better believe they're going to get way up for this Grizzlies-Lakers game. Look throughout the history of Grizz-Lakers games. Go back to the Pyramid when you had Tony Massenberg and Lorenzen Wright down low with Pau Gasol, you know what I'm saying, and rookie Shane Battier, Jason Williams, Brevin Knight, who's an announcer coming off the bench and lighting up the Lakers. I remember these games. And those were the Lakers teams with Kobe and Shaq. All-time great team. You know, the Grizzlies gave them some classic games in some instances that only Memphians would remember because of how bad the Grizzlies were at the time. So those are just examples, man. I expect the game to be competitive. I don't think it's going to be a demolition derby by any means. I do think the Grizz will be more competitive than people may expect. But I do expect the Lakers to beat the Grizzlies. But I always look forward to when our home teams that are underdogs take on a task like that and see what they got. We're going to see what Coach Jenkins has as he takes on. I just thought about this. Taylor Jenkins, in an indirect way, is taking on former Memphis Grizzlies coach Lionel Hollins, because Lionel Hollins is an assistant with the Lakers now. His first job since leaving Brooklyn several years ago. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic as well, even though nobody on this Grizzlies team other than upper management, I'd imagine Lionel will recognize. But we'll see what happens, man. That's going to be something to watch tonight as well. But coming up next, something y'all definitely want to stay tuned about. The NCAA has some huge breaking news when it comes to paying players. Has the pressure that these states put on the NCAA finally weakened them to the point that they're conceding some things? Well, some huge news has broken, and we're going to talk about that with Dominic Lawson, who's going to be joining me in the next few minutes after this commercial break. So y'all keep it locked, keep it tuned in to Talk Back Live Sports, and we will be back right after this commercial break. Y'all stay tuned.
Go hard, go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go home. Let's go, let's get it, let's get it. Are you ready? Are you with it? Yeah, we with it. Let's go, let's get it, let's get it. Are you ready? Are you with it? Yeah, we with it. Big time players make big time players make big time plays.
If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausages, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger. Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphic Printing.
CJU Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487 7882. CJU's Appliances has the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJ Used Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances.
And welcome back to the show, Talk Back Live Sports. We are live and in full effect, ready to go, ready to get it, man. You know what that music means. You should at least know what that music means, because it is time for your favorite segment, I'm sure, other than when I'm always talking, here on the show. But your favorite segment here, man, it is the business of sports with my man in the building, in the place to be, Dominic Lawson. Mr. Lawson, sir, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, man. I'm actually wrapping up at GameStop, pre-ordering that new NCAA is probably about to come out soon, but I'm good.
There you go. Man, I can't tell you how much I missed those games, man, because all this stuff, I mean, this James Wiseman team, we can't even play as Wiseman, man, because of this mess that's been going on. But could that be on the horizon? You know what I'm saying? Y'all dust off the PS4, whatever you got, man, because, man, the NCAA has moved very quickly to make some major moves, so to speak. And, Dominic, I'm going to give you the honor of introducing, in case y'all have not heard, because it's dropped really quite recently here within the last hour or so. Go ahead and drop what's going on with the NCAA.
All righty. So, basically, the reason I'm trying to get that pre-order in place is because as of a few hours ago, it's been announced that the NCAA board, they put together a board back in May with Gene Smith, the athletic director at Ohio State, Big East Committee. They put it together as a board to think about letting players profit off of a name, image, and likeness. Mm-hmm. And so as of today, it's been approved. It was voted on unanimously that the NCAA will now allow athletes at all three division levels, 1, 2, and 3 of the NCAA, to profit off name, image, and likeness. I mean, it goes without saying that this board was put in place there. This board was put in place after Nancy Skinner, the California legislator, mm-hmm. who wrote SB 206 there in California. And so from there, the NCAA put that board together and said, let's do a study, let's think about it. And so now today we have this ruling from the NCAA saying that, hey, players at all levels can now profit off of name, image, and likeness. And to be honest with you, Josh, I mean, we talked about, let's look at the timeline here, basically. Mm-hmm. California, does their thing, right? Mm-hmm. NCAA puts their board in. And then in between, between the NCAA putting that board together and now, you had a flurry of states, red mm-hmm. states. How you look at it politically, a flurry of states. You know what? We want to implement this in our state too. We feel that these young players are kind of being exploited in some regard, and so mm-hmm. let's put that in place. But Josh, if I'm being, And this just goes to show how bipartisan this is across the country. So the governor of California is a Democrat. The governor of Florida is a Republican. They both agree that they should, have the right play profit off of name, image, and likeness. Mm-hmm. And so the reason the Florida one is so important is because last week, Governor DeSantis of Florida said that he will support a bipartisan legislation to not only approve name, image, and likeness profits for those players, but it was going to be in effect, get this, Josh, this summer.
Wow.
It was going to be put in effect this summer. And so anybody who follows college sports, especially football, I don't need to tell you all the athletes that were going to profit from name, image, and likeness just from football alone. When you think about Florida State, Florida, and Miami, oh my goodness, right?
Man,
so I really think what happened was, like I said, the state of California in this legislation got the ball rolling. The state of Florida forced its hand, and that's why we have this ruling today. And I think that is a big step in the right direction and a great step in the direction of student athletes and being compensated accordingly, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And we're talking with Dominic Lawson, co-founder of the Binge Podcast Network, host of the Start of Life podcast, and Talkback Live Network contributor, talking about the breaking news. In case y'all have not heard, the NCAA has passed a unanimous ruling. They didn't waste no time. The rumor, said, hey, they're going to vote on it. It came out yesterday, and then this afternoon said, okay, let's get this out the way and done. Now, so when you talk about likenesses and their names and all of that stuff, what exactly, are there any caveats to this? Because even when I see this, I'm like, man, okay, this is great. That essentially the protest forced action, which is the whole purpose of protesting, is to put people in a position and say, hey, look, if you don't do this, we're going to act on our own, and you're going to make even less money and have less control over us. But what does this mean in the NCAA's version of giving players and people the access to make money off their likenesses at all sports levels? What does that mean? Are there any caveats to this? Have you seen how they're going to act it out, or do they even know yet?
As of right now, I am not seeing any caveats. They do want to make sure that it's on the same playing field as if me and you were going to the University of Memphis and we were not athletes or whatever. Those students are able to make money off name, image, or likeness, or whatever the case may be. And so the only thing I saw was where that as long as there's some type of you have some type of skill or some type of element like an athletic ability, that that should be the only differentiator. It shouldn't be anything else. Right now, granted, that's in the eye of the beholder, but that's neither here nor there. But it's basically the only differentiator is as long as you have some type of athletic ability or something like that, then you should be good to go. But the thing is, Josh, is like I said, this is great for the players, all of it, and this is, like I said, it's just good for the players, and I appreciate the NCAA ruling, even though I feel like it's a little disingenuous, but I feel like they saw the tide changing and things in that age, because on top of it, we were getting ready to see something come down from the federal level as well. I don't know if you remember Anthony Gonzalez, the wide out from Ohio State, who was actually there at Ohio State with Gene Smith, first 2 years of athletic director there. And so he was actually getting ready to write a bill in Congress, because he's a congressman now there in Ohio. And so he wanted to see what the NCAA was going to do before he introduced legislation level. But right now, as far as caveats, I am not seeing anything that's glaring as of right now. It seems above board, maybe as we dig into the weeds a little bit, because, it's still a few hours old. So, but as we dig into the weeds a little bit more, we may find a caveat here or two that may be troubling. But as of right now, I'm not seeing any.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's so interesting. I'm even looking here at the Los Angeles Times article on this, and it called out the hypocrisy where only weeks after the NCAA called the bill in California unconstitutional. and all of that, then they come around and vote unanimously to permit athletes to benefit from the use of their name, image, and likeness, which is so
funny how that works.
It's very funny how that works. But I must wonder now. So I look at this and I'm kind of get your statement here for as I read this. It says on the surface, this is a major turnabout. This is a quote from the Los Angeles Times.
Right.
Major turnabout by the NCAA, but if name, image, and likeness rights are granted to players in a way that falls in line with how things have always been done, with artificially set limits for compensation and regulation, then the organization's attempt at a national level reform will not meet the free market standards set in California Fair Pay to Play Act.
Right.
What do you think about that? Could there still be some pushback? Because you got these states that have already signed this stuff. So will there be a conflict potentially there?
There could be a conflict potentially, but I think, like, once again, this is still new, it's still fresh, and so that's why this board and the NCAA has charged all three divisions to come up with some type of fair market agreement to where it does meet those state standards, because that's how laws work, right? Even though the NCAA has its own bylaws and charters and stuff like that, it cannot supersede state or federal law. That's not how that works. Yeah. And so as long as it doesn't do that, it's fine. And I think if the NCAA is smart, they will comply, because, like I said, Josh, it's one of those things where, look, in the beginning, there's going to be pushback, because when you've had so much power over these athletes for so long, it's hard to let that go. It really is, and I get that. But at the same time, and we've said this for weeks and weeks and weeks, this generation of understands their worth probably more than the generation before it, right? Or at the very least, they're willing to voice it, right? And so when they see all this money flying around, they're seeing all of this, hoopla around, whatever the case may be. They've decided they wanted a piece of the pie, and the power of public opinion is behind them, and that's why the states have said what they said, and that's why the NCAA has ultimately been forced to comply with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is major news. It's amazing. Something that, people have been hoping for years, generally happen within a few weeks, just with a little pressure being applied in the right spot, so to speak. So,
and once again, like I said, like this, just to go how popular this is and why the NCAA has to basically comply. You had red states, blue states, Republican held, governor held seats, Democratic held, governor seats, all saying the same thing, that you're making way money for these players to have something like cream cheese benefit and get penalized for that. Like, this is absurd. This is America. We believe in, if you have a skill, you have a gift or something along those lines, you should be compensated as such.
I agree 1,000%. And this is
maybe not like at the level of like a 3-year, $2 million deal, but at some level. And also, once again, I think we need to kind of get back to the point of like reminding people that this is not colleges employing players, not colleges paying them directly. This will allow for a student athlete, whether it be football, badminton, rowing, or volleyball, or wherever the case may be. If they want to go sign autographs and make a few bucks on the side, then, and if somebody sees value in it, then so be it. You should be able to do that. But this is not coming from the sense of the school team players.
Yes, absolutely. And so I wonder, when you talk about that, you look at like a Zion, or I'm just thinking, I know he's in the league now, but just imagine, I would guess that I would venture to estimate that if he were, in this legislation, that he could get a deal with Nike or something, right? That would allow for him to do that and have an agent, I'd assume, as well, to negotiate other deals and likenesses and things of that nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, as far as that part goes, I'm not entirely sure. That's something where an agent, we can definitely answer that question. That part I'm not entirely sure, because that's not necessarily name, image, and likeness. That's more like in line with like a professional, type of player, to get a shoe deal and stuff like that. That's a little different.
Yeah.
But we're talking about like, NCAA, like we talked about NCAA football. That's name, image, and likeness. Autographs, name, image, and likeness, stuff like that. So a shoe deal might be going a little bit too into the professional ranks, though.
Yeah, I get that. And I know that's kind of going into almost what Tim Tebow was saying about
right.
Making it from amateur to professional.
Me personally as a capitalist, I'm all for it, but I don't think that's what I don't think that's what this entails in this format of it for sure.
Absolutely, man, and we know we're gonna definitely be on top of this as this continues to evolve because there's plenty more to come out. The NCAA, they've rushed this along to such a degree that they don't even exactly know the real structure of how they're going to do this. But they just wanted to get it out into the ethos, as people say.
Right. Look, the NCAA is trying to get back some of that goodwill. They're trying to get some of that, some of the people on their side. Like I said, across the country, people said this needs to happen. And so the NCAA is being looked at like the villain, as in my opinion, as they should be.
Absolutely.
And so that's why they had to hurry up and get this out. That's why you heard that it was a unanimous decision that we're all on board and stuff like that. So they're backlocking a lot of different stuff, Josh.
Oh yeah, I love it. Backpedal on. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of NCAA and all that stuff, and there's an incredible irony here with what's going on in the city of Memphis involving all of this. I mean, first of all, you got basketball. The biggest season and, arguably in Memphis basketball history is coming up next week in exactly 7 days. We'll be able to talk about because that's when their first game is. But then on top of that, you got, which really has superseded everything. And it's such an interesting dynamic where for the first time I can truly say what's happening with the Memphis Tigers college football team has overtaken everything else in Memphis sports, including the most anticipated basketball season. Who would have ever thought that would be the case with College Game Day officially coming to Memphis on Beale Street? Is just absolutely major. So many angles we can go with this, but kind of talk about that, however you want to start off with it.
For sure. I think this is an amazing story, and this is something that we've been talking about for weeks here on the Talkback Live network, that like if you're a Memphis Tiger fan and you support that school, then like this isn't a beautiful time for athletics, from college football to college basketball. If we just remember not too long ago, we were rated as the worst college football program in the country.
Yes. Right?
Lane Kiffin talked about going to a press conference that had to sit a microphone on top of soda cans, right? But now we're getting to a point where we're talking about College Game Day. Not only College Game Day, but the prime time slot for the game between the Memphis Tigers and SMU Mustangs are going to be on prime time Saturday night. And just, the magnitude of all of this is just, kind of crazy. Think about this for a second, Josh. Because the thing is, the reason this is important from a business standpoint is because all of the free marketing the city and that university is about to get. To give you an example, when Washington State had game day up there in Washington, we saw a 1.1 billion, not million, 1.1 billion social media impressions are surrounded around Washington State and game day.
Wow.
Right? So when you talk about that many impressions on social media, and we all know the power of social media when it comes to branding and business and things of that nature, that's millions and millions of dollars of free advertising, right? And on top of that, that's just College Game Day alone.
Yeah.
Let's flip, later, a few hours after that, when we talk about, being on prime time network, not cable network, which is fine, but we're talking about ABC, which is the network of networks, right?
Yes.
When it comes to college football and stuff like that, and routine, Josh, that slot, that 7:30 to 10 o'clock spot, when college football is on, it's the number one show on TV in America, routinely. It wasn't last week because of the World Series.
Exactly.
So once again, when you combine the branding power and the marketing power in game day, and then you flip that to a few hours later to being on primetime network TV, this university is about to get, in my estimation, clearly nine figures in free advertising, easily.
Wow,
easily.
And
when you're, go ahead.
Yeah, but and I agree, it's incredible. And then if you think about what makes this even more amazing is that this is non-Power 5 stuff we're talking about here. And
absolutely,
to get that spotlight, and don't get it twisted, I know a lot of this has to do with SMU, being undefeated for the first time in a long time and actually being relevant. But it helps so much. The game isn't in Dallas, it's in Memphis. And Memphis is reaping all of those benefits, not to mention Beal. Being on Beal is already internationally known, but can you imagine? I can't even fathom the amount of people that are going to be down there and what that site's going to look like, because logistically, that's going to be an interesting situation to see play out there. But that's going to be awesome. Imagine those businesses, the money they're about to get. It's almost going to be like Memphis in May levels.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You have that's about to be one big party from downtown Beale to Tiger Lane. And I know there was a bit of people wanted it on Tiger Lane and Beale Street. Game day wanted it on Beale Street. University of Memphis wanted it on Tiger Lane. And I get from the University of Memphis standpoint why you wanted it. Want to maximize that branding, maximize that marketing to the fullest extent. But on the flip side, I have no issue with it being on Beale Street. Once again, you're about to have some more marketing dollars and some more marketing power with it being on Beale Street. Yeah. And one of my good friends, Chris Porter, that Bill's that Grizzly Blue Beale Street sign that's down there.
Yeah.
My good friend created that sign, so I'm actually excited for him because I know there's going to be a few shots of that sign. So I'm really excited for him. But ultimately, Josh, when we talk about the marketing and the branding and those small businesses that's down there, like the Arcade Restaurant and Silky O'Sullivan's and all those restaurants and stuff down there on Beale, you're about to get a huge boost in business. And I'm just in awe of the city. I'm just in awe of this moment because it's just amazing to see, because people talk, they say what they say about this city, but on Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, we're definitely going to get the last laugh, and I'm here for all of it.
Oh man, yeah, like Penny said, we want all the smoke, you know what I'm saying?
All the smoke.
In this instance, and this is going to be incredible. It's really going to be kind of awe-inspiring, even watching on TV. I'm looking forward to seeing on TV. Really just, it's kind of, as a person, right, I'm sports, grew up that way. And watching game day a lot of Saturdays, just kind of a feel-good type of deal. And you never thought, especially if you've been around Memphis and growing up here and around the football program over the last 20 years, you're like, man, I know that there would never be a chance in a million years that happened in Memphis. But here it is.
Unimaginable. I've been watching college football since I was a kid. You see, I was watching College Game Day even before they went to cities. Right?
Oh man!
And so, right, just to let you know how old I am. But the thing is, but honestly, just like you said, you hit it right on the head. Never in a million years would I have thought College Game Day would be in our hometown. But not just College Game Day, but have that game on primetime TV on Saturday night, brother. That's some high stakes stuff right there, and I'm here for all of it, man. It's beautiful to see. I'm happy for the city, and I'm happy for the university for sure. They've earned it. Dr. David Rudd and Mike Norvell, Penny at that school has done an amazing job. From a branding standpoint, from, turning the academics around. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But if you're a Memphis Tiger fan, go Tigers go, because it's a good time to be a Tiger.
Absolutely. We talked about that made all over that university.
Absolutely.
For sports and otherwise. So definitely. And last thing, man, I got to ask you, do you have, and we've been talking about this last couple of days, do you have a person that you want to be the guest picker? You know what I'm saying? Up there on game day. Is there anybody, do you care? Or is there a list of guys that you want them to choose from? What do you think?
This has been a hot topic ever since, even just the thought of game day coming to town. But who is probably ultimately going to be, unless he has some type of tour day, is probably going to be Justin Timberlake for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But, one person I heard, and it's just the Memphis fan in me, because, I would love to see Jerry the King Lawler. Not getting to lie. That's just me. I would love to see the King pull the strap down there on Beale Street, so he can give Lee Corso that elbow if he pick wrong. So, but I would love to see Jerry the King Lawler. Not gonna lie,
man. This is gonna be our first major disagreement because I can't have this old dude up there. You know what I'm saying? He's scared he gonna fall off the set. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't have this going on up there. But
that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? It's all about a bad look. But all I know is, Lawler, keep your shirt on. They don't need all the tights and stuff. This ain't 1975 back in the day. But I will say this. I get it. A lot of people say they don't want Penny up there because, this is the spotlight. But let's be real. I think, to be honest with you, even with the Timberlakes and everybody else, Penny may be the most relevant in culture now. Not just Memphis culture, but culture, period. Most relevant person up there. Technically, even though I understand, the spotlight on football, but what do you think about that?
Well, Penny is not a bad choice, and it's for a multitude of reasons. For one, there's precedent there. We've had on College Game Day where they're like the college basketball team coach has been there for game day.
Yeah.
So that's not different. That's not like wouldn't be a new thing. But also when you talk about the branding power of Penny, people may or may not know this or not. He has the number 2 selling shoe of all time at Nike behind the GOAT himself. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So like kids know who they are. Pop culture know who he is, and if he brings him, it's a wrap.
It's over. It's over.
It's a wrap, so it's one of those things where it's like, Penny is not a bad choice at all. Mm-hmm. He probably won't be the choice, but like you can't go wrong with Penny Hardaway and all the momentum that they've been having with the number 1 recruiting class, highly anticipated, recruiting class and season and stuff like that. Like I said, like you said before, Josh, it's amazing that we have all this going on with basketball in a basketball town. And we're all feeding into the football frenzy because of College Game Day, the Memphis Tigers football team, and stuff like that. So, no, Penny's not a bad choice at all, Josh.
Oh, definitely not, man. It's going to be awesome. I've heard everything from whoever the guy is that keeps running for mayor all the time. I heard people say that
Prince Mongo.
Yeah, Mongo. Yeah, they want him up there. I don't know where he is, but. I don't know. I did see he got like 600 votes in the last election, so I don't know how to feel about that. But nonetheless, man,
Mongo always pulls that off.
It's incredible. But my man Dominic Lawson, man, tell the people where they can follow you and possibly get your gamer tag so they can play in the new NCAA game. It'll be coming out soon.
Fair enough. Gamer tag DNick1982. But on top of that, on PlayStation, by the way. But on top of that. Once again, my show is the Startup Life Podcast. We talk to entrepreneurs and business leaders from around the world. Mm-hmm. We're definitely working on some things coming up for the new year that everybody's going to be excited about. If you're a small business owner or thinking about being a small business owner, or you're just looking for career advice to scale up the corporate ladder, we definitely invite you to come to listen to the Startup Life Podcast. We're on all major podcast platforms, and just this week we were added to Pandora, which we were super excited about because Pandora is very highly selective when it comes to podcasts because they're just new. They're new to the podcast game, but we're definitely glad to be on Pandora. So we should be rolling out on Pandora in a few weeks. So that's my take, man.
Awesome, man. That's Dominic Lawson in the building. Be sure y'all hit him up on that new the 2K, that Madden, that NCAA, all that stuff. Call of Duty probably as well. But, man, I appreciate you for coming on, brother. I know we're going to fire it up again next week.
Absolutely. Appreciate you and Bob as always.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's Dominic Lawson again. Another great segment, the business of sports, man, and definitely looking forward to diving into some more things, man, because there's so much going on in the city in a positive way in the sports scene. like never before, locally and nationally. So, on today, man, and I will be back tomorrow morning. Y'all know what we do each morning. Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh from 8 to 10. So y'all stay tuned for that. Y'all know we're going to have a lot of stuff that you're going to want to join the conversation with, as some of y'all did this morning. So we definitely appreciate that. So without any further ado, that's going to do it for me, and we will talk to you guys next time right here on Talk Back Live Network.
If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausages, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphic Printing.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make the changes now to avoid the negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances have the best prices in town, sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJ Used Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances.
C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Summer Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks,
Whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles, hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson of the Tennessee Highway Patrol here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.